Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 30, New Year's Eve edition. Music, by the way, music brought to you by bensound.com. This is going to be a quick one. I'm going to go straight to the topic. No Knick news, no NBA news of the week. This is a quick one. I just want to talk about Carmelo Anthony. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Carmelo Anthony, but my concern is a little different. In the beginning of the season, I predicted that the Knicks would win 50 games, right? When I made this prediction, it was under the assumption that Carmelo Anthony would be the Carmelo Anthony that we're used to, albeit a little older, you know. I wasn't expecting MVP Carmelo Anthony, but my whole thinking in saying the Knicks would win 50 games is if you surround a talent like Carmelo Anthony with supporting pieces. I mean, he has two other scorers and a plethora of supporting role players, that his star would shine bright. He would do well if he's Carmelo. If he's playing up to his capability. What I didn't think, and again, it's still early, and there's two halves to a season, and right now we're only a quarter in. I didn't expect Carmelo to be as mortal as he has been. And what I mean by that is Carmelo Anthony is a great player. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. In my mind, I mean, he's a great player. I wasn't expecting him to be MVP this year. I was expecting him, I wasn't expecting him to average 27, 28 points a game. No, I was expecting him to be around 24. He's at 20, 21, so it's not like he's that far off, but there's a big difference between 24 and 21, because if you're averaging 24 to 25 points a game, that means that there's a lot of nights you're going for 30 and 35, a lot of nights you're going for 28, 30 points, you know. And one thing I noticed a trend even last year, and I figured maybe it was because of his injury, is his three-point shot has been off. And the thing about Carmelo is he's still a great player. But I'm realizing he may have to adjust. He's going to have to adjust to, how can I put it? He's going to have to adjust to his body. Melo's going to have to become more of a spot-up shooter. And every now and then, you know, do a one-on-one, because the Knicks still count on him when the shot clock is low to go one-on-one. People complain, but the Knicks will give it to him. And you saw that against Atlanta. He got kicked out of the game against Atlanta, and you saw down the stretch they needed a go-to guy. And this is why I say Kristaps Porzingis is not ready yet. Because what happens is superstars have pet moves. They have certain moves they know that it's their go-to. It's like if you look at 2K, it's like the area that's red or green. I forgot what color they make it, but the area that the person can shoot from, he's really good from. You know, I mean, I see Kristaps at the top of the key, around the foul line area. That's cool. But I've noticed, Kristaps struggles posting up. The smaller players push him off the block. I mean, I've seen Kristaps post up players that are 6'5" and struggle with it. And he's 7'3". He's damn near a whole foot bigger than them. But I would say this, you know, that's not a knock on Kristaps. He's just young. You know, I figured that Carmelo's prime and eventually his eventual decline would mix with Porzingis perfectly. Porzingis is actually living up to what we thought he was. He's actually as good as I thought he would be this year. I want the rebounds to be higher, but he's actually as good as advertised this season. but he's not ready to be the franchise guy. And if Kristaps is your best player and he's averaging 20, you're going to struggle if you're not a great defensive team, which the Knicks are not. Now, that just leads me to believe that, no, I don't think there's a problem. I think right now, okay, if Melo is not the Melo we thought he was, if Melo has suddenly done like some players, went from prime to old, that's a problem for the Knicks. They still will make the playoffs, but I'm not expecting old man Paul Pierce as of yet. And Melo has been having trouble getting by people. He's been having trouble getting by his defenders. He's just having trouble on a one-on-one. That's why I never cared when people tell me about isolation Melo, ISO Melo. People don't understand. If you listen to a lot of the pros, they say the same thing. ISO Melo, one-on-one Melo is a disadvantage to the defender all the time. But I'm realizing now, a lot of defenders, I mean, he's had his struggles against guys like Jay Crowder and stuff like that, but he still gets his. But a lot of these defenders and some of these young guys are defending Melo well. Melo is not, he's not getting to his spots and doing what he normally can do. And the thing is, Melo's so lethal from the mid-range area, I think that he needs to drive to the hoop more. Because he could do it, but he always wants to pull up, because I don't blame him for pulling up, because he's a lethal mid-range shooter. Lethal from there. I mean, I can see him do a shot, I'm like, it's going in. I know it's going in. However, recently, he hasn't been as lethal. Melo has been having great games, bad games. Great games, bad games. Great halves, bad halves. Before, it would be a block of great games, maybe a struggle game here. A block of great games, a struggle game, an average game. Things like that. We're not seeing that Melo. We're not seeing the borderline superstar Melo this season so far. So that, to me, is a cause for concern. Do I still think they're going to win 50 games? I'm going to stick with it right now. I'm still, because to me, no matter what, Porzingis is nice. We need Derrick Rose. He's important. But the straw that stirs the drink is Carmelo Anthony. And if you look at the times when Carmelo goes for over 30 points, Knicks win those games. Because they got the supporting people in place. We just need Carmelo to be Carmelo. So he's going to have to make some adjustments to his game. He might have to get in the post more. He may have to drive to the hoop more, try to get to the free throw line more. But the jumper doesn't seem like it's making it like it used to. He's not being, and teams, don't get me wrong, teams still double team him. But double team never stopped Melo. Y'all don't understand. We talk about one of the most elite shooters and scorers in the game. And I'm not seeing that this season. I'm seeing a lot of struggle Melo. I'm seeing a lot of that. Some people think he's not the same player. He doesn't have the same quickness. That look like it's gone. But my thing is, if somebody told you we're going to have Kristaps averaging 20, Derrick Rose averaging 17 and relatively healthy, with Kylo Quinn playing really good, Justin Holiday, a pleasant surprise. By the way, I'm outside doing this. If you knew all of those things were going to take place, you would expect more from the Knicks, because you're like, oh, all of that to go along with Melo? Oh, we're going to be great. Now, I'll just say this, though. I wouldn't be discouraged by their record, because they have a good record. They're still over 500. I think they're 16-15 now, or maybe 16-16. They're still a good team. They're still right there in the thick of the playoff race. And the reason why their record is what it is because of early in the season. Right now, they're in a losing streak. And I'm going to tell you, we got Houston tonight. Houston's been playing well, and that is just a terrible matchup for us. Honestly, I'm a Knicks fan. I don't see us winning that game tonight. I don't see it happening. I'm hoping the Knicks can keep the game within 10 points come fourth quarter. And this is not even not because of how Melo's playing. This is because the Knicks are not a good defensive team. That team likes to shoot threes. Knicks are allergic to guarding the three-point line. A lot of NBA teams are. You know, I got issues with how the NBA game is played today. I got a little issues with the lack of physicality it's allowed. You know, I mean, I don't want to see the 90s basketball anymore. I don't want to see that. But good Lord, you can't even look at somebody no more. It's like, oh God, it's so terrible sometimes. A little bit of physicality and tech, you know, don't fight, no. You know, it's just, they so petrified. And it's hurting the game, I believe. Especially when they don't call it like that across the board. That's my rant on that. But again, you know, I just want to see, I wouldn't even say the old Melo. What Melo can do, he can make certain adjustments to his game. He can become more of a spot-up shooter, as I said earlier. And the Knicks can implement that. Because you have to account for Melo. When Derrick Rose is driving, you have to account for Melo. And speaking of Derrick Rose, I have one complaint. Now, somebody said, oh, he had 2 assists or 1 assist in the game. That's not my complaint, because assists is not always a great measure if you're moving the ball. Because in basketball, they don't count the hockey assists. When you pass to the guy who passed to the guy who hit the shot. Or you set up the guy who set up the other guy to make the shot. So my thing is, when I'm looking at Derrick Rose, my one complaint is sometimes the pass is right there in front of him. But he makes up his mind that I'm going to shoot the ball right now. And this is very, very bad. I've seen it happen time and time again. Derrick Rose has to keep his head up. I've seen Porzingis wide open, and he's not hitting them. And then he has this jump pass thing. Even though LeBron does this a lot, you got to limit that. Many times you're jumping and passing. But again, if Melo's being Melo, the Knicks will be winning a lot of these games. Now, another thing, Knicks defense is atrocious. I think, like, when I think of defense, what I think of is basically energy. You need energy and effort. So when I think of really good defensive teams, you know what I think of? Teams that are really in good shape. That's why LeBron is a good defender, because he's really in good shape. Anyway, I'm coming to the end of this podcast. I told you I wanted this to be a quick podcast. I just had a few things on my mind I wanted to express with the people. And, you know, the Knicks fans, fellow Knicks fans, you know, I just want to see Carmelo play up to his capability. And if he realizes he can't, he needs to realize that himself and say, you know what, I'm going to be a decoy. You know what, I'm going to set up in the post closer to the basket. You know what, I'm going to cut. You know what, I'm going to stand over here by the 3-point line, Derek, and I'm going to do a pick with you and you just hit me. Look for me. You know where I'm at. The team always looks for him. So anyway, that's my concern right now going on with the Knicks. All right, that brings us to the end of this episode of Knicks Home Court, episode number 30. I am your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. And I would like to wish everyone a happy new year. Happy holidays. Let's let 2017 be better than 2016. And with that said, everybody take care. Have a good one. Peace.